I'm right now at 0.01, and we'll make sure it's at 5,000 volts. Typical value, and then you should see that on the software, I'll do this again, you should see that when I hit capture, there's a trigger button here, it's green. Well, when the spark fires, you should see that turn gray, just like that. As well as on the camera, when the camera is recording, let me hit capture again, you should see a red light right back here. Let me point it. So you should see a red light right there. That's what means the camera's recording currently. If it were still, there's a little time where it can blink sometimes, but it goes so fast here that it's just off. But it typically blinks or goes off when it's no longer recording or it got triggered. Okay, so now we can review. We can see, make sure that the trigger worked properly. There's the little trigger button on the play screen. You're going to hit that trigger button and you should see the spark on the very first, immediately. And the frames before it, you can have a few, of course, frames showing the spark as well before it. But they should be black. You shouldn't see anything. And you should have, like I say, that means the camera triggered properly. You'll notice here that, I don't know if you can see it very well on the camera, but these are what we call flyers. They're little pieces of metal that, from the violence of that spark, get ejected from either the surface of the electrode or of the needle. And you can see some of them come from the needle, others come from the electrode. So you don't want to see those. If you're seeing those, you need to increase the f-stop. So this is a fairly high energy, and I had it at 5.6. So the f-stop here, I had it at 5.6, so I'm just going to increase it to 8 there. 8. Now we'll try again, make sure it's triggering. Hope you can see all that. Then we can shift this over here, like that. I'll run it again. Let's come back to the live, hit capture. This is just asking, do I want to delete anything that's on the camera? Well, yes, I'm okay with that. I haven't saved anything yet. I'm not ready to save. So, yeah, I'm just checking the triggering. You should do this multiple times to make sure it's triggering properly at multiple different energies. Here I'm just at 0.01, but you would make sure it triggers at the lowest and the highest and the middle. So right now I'm around the middle. So run it again. I'm ready to trigger. There's my lights on the camera. And it triggered. Did it trigger in the right spot? Hey, come over here. Yep, it is. Looks like I moved the camera just a hair. But now that it's just shifted, that's okay if it shifted right there. And then I shouldn't see any flyers, and I'm not seeing those little rays of metal come off. And there's nothing on the electrode. There's nothing between the needle and the electrode. It's clean. You can see that's what your image should look like. So we'll change the energy, make sure we're triggering properly at smaller energies. So let's see. Move this all the way to the bottom. Get ready. Let's do this again. Capture. Okay. We're ready to trigger. There's a little bitty spark. It triggered. Let's see where we got that. Hit the trigger, your button, and yes, we can see it triggered properly. If it doesn't trigger properly, you're not going to see a spark at or near the 0th frame. When you hit the trigger here, this little trigger button, that takes you to where in the image sequence the 0th frame is the trigger location. You should see 0 there. And marching back or a few frames or forward, you should find that spark. If the trigger's not working properly, I'll show you what happens. Several things can happen. So let's say I forgot to plug in my trigger. So let me take the trigger out. So capture, okay. I'm going to run it. I saw the spark, it fired, but I'm still waiting for a trigger. That means it didn't trigger. So here you troubleshoot. And in this case, we simply need to plug the trigger back in. And I shifted the camera a little bit doing that, but I think it's about right there. Now when I run it again, it should trigger, and it triggered. Let's see what our spark looks like. Go to that play button, hit the trigger, search for it. There it is. It's in the middle. Should be fairly in focus. Like that. That's what you should see. Other issues can be it's plugged in. It's plugged into the top, the trigger, but it's still not triggering. At which point you would first off look at these advanced settings. So here's the Cine settings here that detail 20,000 frames a second and 256 by 256. Here we'll go to the advanced settings, hoping you can see this. And here is the where is it? Rising filter time. So I've got it focused on, set on rising edge and a filter time of 0. Typically we like to have that 5 to 10. So let's say if it's in the wrong spot, let's say it's 80. Let's see, 80, and it's on falling edge. So let's see if we get the trigger effect I'm looking for. Get it. It sparked, I saw it, but it doesn't trigger. So what's going on? This is plugged in. Why isn't the trigger working? This can be an issue. Oh, I got the falling edge. Let's try rising edge. My first one. I hit capture. Try again. There we go. Charge. Spark. I saw a spark. Still didn't get a trigger. What's going on? We can change my filter time. Let's change it to 5. Okay. Try again. I saw a spark, still didn't trigger. Maybe I need to do falling edge. Let's try again. I got it to trigger. So it's falling edge, 5 microseconds, filter time. And do I see it in the right spot? Oh, there it is, right there. Perfect. That's what I needed to do. So that's your first line of action when you have a problem with the trigger. Is this auto, let's see, it's under advanced settings on PCC and the trigger. So you're going to say